Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 10 of the All Dolphins podcast. I am Poupart. He is Omar. I guess we're going to call this our post-draft episode. We didn't do one right after the draft because it's kind of a meh draft, which was to be expected.
Did you really just call the draft meh?
For the Dolphins, considering they had 4 picks and 2 of those were in the 6th and 7th round? Yeah, it was a meh draft. Do you disagree?
It was an out of character and probably a much needed draft from the standpoint of they didn't take the needs. And leaving your need to be addressed with your last pick, and I don't know if you count Elijah Higgins as a receiver or tight end. They certainly count him as a tight end. But we need to see that transition happen. I knocked Mike Gesicki, a franchise player, for 4 years because he could not block. If Elijah Higgins can't block, he's just a glorified slot receiver, just like Mike Gesicki. But yeah, it was a draft.
Okay, you're going, which is a definition of meh.
They added a sexy tailback speedster that everybody thinks is just gonna, wow the offense. A lot of, Louis Riddick loves him, and I have a high opinion of what Louis Riddick thinks. So if Louis Riddick loves him, then I'm sure I love him too. I looked at his film because I was just curious in terms of what Mike McDaniel's obsession was about. And he's small, but he does run inside. He's a jump cut runner, which is my favorite thing to see and look for. For those who don't know, that's basically jumping and cutting on one leg, changing direction, shifty. I started discovering that back in the Frank Gore days because Frank Gore is a jump cut runner. So if you ever want to know what that jump cut style looks like, it pretty much prevents people from getting direct shots at you. Mm-hmm. And the only question I had was, can he pass protect at his size? And we shall see, because there's a difference between picking up chipping a safety or a cornerback, picking up an outside blitzer, and then handling a Jalen Phillips when that's your assignment.
No, that is true. You know, what's interesting to me is a lot of the discontent I see from those Dolphin fans who did not like the draft. And they're like, what about an offensive lineman in the second round? What about a tight end in the second or third round? Yeah. And you and I discussed before the draft that the worst mistake you can make is overreach to fill a need, i.e. Austin Jackson, i.e. Noah Igbinoghene. And we saw how that turned out when yesterday.
No, it wasn't a need. Don't do that. No, it wasn't a need. They had Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. Nick Needham had a productive
sorry, my
year.
bad. I retract that. Let me substitute Noah for Jawan James. When 2014 Dolphins were desperate for right.
Noah was just a mistake.
Oh, fair enough. We'll get to Noah in a bit. So, but here, we both agree that the worst mistake you can make is overreach for somebody. Yes, they could use a difference-making tight end because right now they don't have that on the roster. Mm-hmm. I'm of the opinion though that the tight end matters less in this offense than practically any offense in the entire NFL because it's Tyreek and Waddle centric, as it should be, and then the running game, which may or may not get a bit more usage in 2023 or 2023, based on Raheem Mostert's comments in his Zoom media session yesterday, which we also will address a little bit later.
Hey, do me a favor. For those who say, oh, tight end, you absolutely need a weapon. Let's do this exercise. You list off your top 4 people that you want Tua to pass to, and then I'll list off my top 4 people that I want Tua to pass the ball to.
Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I know you would say Chosen Anderson would be your 3. Right now on this roster, to me, they're all interchangeable behind. Right now, probably Mostert, I would suggest, and or I don't know, Braxton Berrios or Chosen Anderson or Devon Achane. I don't think there's a clear demarcation. There are clear cut number 4 behind the 3 that I mentioned.
Yes, I would definitely go Tyreek, Jalen Waddle. I am going Chosen Anderson. I mean, people don't realize how much productivity that man has had throughout his career. I think he's like 25 yards from some 6,000 yards or something ridiculous. And everybody's saying he's washed up. Okay, cool, sure. Show me when he's washed up in camp, we'll see. But then I'm gonna go Raheem Mostert. So
Okay.
yeah, is Durham Smythe a decent, solid fifth option?
Yeah.
He's okay. He's all
For
right.
a 7-8 yard pass, if you need a first down to convert, sure.
Absolutely nobody's covering you. Durham runs 8 yards down the field, turns around and catches the ball. Done deal, right?
Yeah.
No
No,
harm, no foul.
and this notion that you need to get like this absolute stud tight end. Well, guess what? Travis Kelce's and George Kittle's don't grow on trees. You know, there are not a whole lot of those like them.
But I will address this.
Go ahead.
Not selecting Darnell Washington, even despite the knee issue and removing cartilage from your knee, even if, let's say, he has knee issues and can't be a solid tight end, can't run down the field. I mean, the man ran a 4.64 with a bad knee. That's pretty impressive to me. I would have just changed him to a tackle. Oh well, but hey, let's stick with your evaluations. You wanted Elijah Higgins. This might go down as a draft where instead of Randy Moss, you select Larry Shannon, and we're looking at Darnell Washington, Achane.
Well, here's the thing, and I have to look because I don't remember off the top of my head, and shame on me for that. I don't know if Washington was still on the board when the Dolphins took Achane.
I will look it up right now.
Okay, so then it may be a question of, okay, who's going to have the better NFL career, Darnell Washington or Cam Smith? Obviously, let's check back in 3 years, and then we'll have a better idea. I think there's something to be said. You and I both know you can never, ever, ever have too many quality cornerbacks on your roster. And I think his addition allows Vic Fangio to do a hell of a lot of different things in that secondary. Yes, including moving Jalen Ramsey around for some snaps at safety, which is a question that I asked of Mike McDaniel. Hold on, let me finish. Then I asked Mike McDaniel after the draft on Saturday. And my question was simply, have there been any conversations about using Jalen Ramsey at safety? I didn't say make him a full-time safety. I just said using him at safety. And Mike McDaniel, who tends to usually be close to the vest about his player usage, kind of looked at me like I was
You had a third eye.
like an alien or something. Exactly. Like, no, guy's a great cornerback. He's a great cornerback. Okay, we shall see. I'm going to maintain that. Don't be surprised if Jalen Ramsey gets snaps either as a joker position, a star position, whatever you want to call it, or even safety.
I mean, technically, and I'm answering in Mike McDaniel fashion, technically a joker or a star isn't a safety. So, but I do agree with you. The one thing when I look at this roster, and I haven't seen what Deshaun Elliott brings to the table yet from an on-field work standpoint, but when I look at this roster, I don't see a Rowe. I don't see an Eric Rowe, a guy who's going to cover the safety. Guy who's going to cover the tight end. So certainly Jalen Ramsey can walk into that position and do it with his eyes closed. Exactly. And then we've got Cam Smith coming on the field on the boundary. To me, Cam Smith, the addition, okay, stick to your board, select. They clearly viewed him as a top 50 player, which is what I wanted them to take. If you did not have an offensive lineman rated as a top 50 player that was still left on the board, fine, no problem. So Cam Smith, a lot of the knock on him was that he's got this diva personality or hard to coach, and I looked at a lot of the things that he said, or people were portraying him as sort of like this diva. As I looked at it as a guy who's got the dog. And covering from my background of covering the University of Miami, I love the dog. I need the dog.
You're a dog. You're a dog.
Yeah. The one thing about cornerbacks, and I don't know where I learned this from, probably Will Allen. Man, they got to have confidence, and they got to have short memories. There is nothing wrong with Noah Igbinoghene physically wise. We both know that. We both acknowledge that. His ball skills are just tragically bad. And what's happened over the years is it's the way that people have just beat up on him. It's eroded his confidence to the point he doesn't even trust himself. And this is my opinion. I've addressed it with the young man. He's said, for 2 years, my confidence, but it's going to be a new year for me. Yeah, my confidence, but it's going to be a new year for me. And then it wasn't a new year.
He's too nice and too humble. And here's the thing. Tell me I'm not right on this. Like the poster child for a cornerback maximizing his physical traits with savvy, instincts, technique, and moxie / confidence / arrogance. Guess what? He's coaching the Dolphins cornerbacks right now.
Ronaldo.
Sam Madison.
No. Sam Madison was a baller. Are you crazy?
Dude, was Sam Madison super fast? Sorry, he wasn't. Was he super tall? No, sorry. What he had again, he had very good.
I'm not going to disrespect Sam Madison on this podcast. Sam Madison was a physical grappler, baller. Let's not call him slow. I'm gonna look up his. He
wasn't slow, but he wasn't a burner. I'm complimenting the guy that he completely maxed out his physical attributes because of the intangibles, including great technique.
He ran a 4.61.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Is that really fast?
That's a wow.
Okay. Do I get
Sam?
Do I get Uncle Poop? You were correct. Come on.
You were correct. Damn, Sam ran a 4.61.
Yes.
I don't even know if we would draft the cornerback that ran a 4.61.
Correct, but he had intangibles off the charts. That's why he became like an all-pro cornerback. So, and unfortunately, that's something you have or you don't have. You can't train. You can't coach that into Noah.
Yeah. I hope for Noah, and let me address one thing. Darnell Washington was picked at 93, so he would have been the running back from Texas A&M if you had gone that route. But we clearly see that Mike McDaniels has a obsession with the tiny running back with 4.32 speed. So, but I hope that the Dolphins can find a way to move Noah Igbinoghene at some point before the regular season starts. I know that they can release him and keep it moving. They're going to eat $1 million worth of salary. Maybe somebody picks him up. I'm not sure. Somebody will pick him up at this point in his career. I just hope that maybe they can move him for some team's third tight end, just the way they got Adam Shaheen last year. You're trash. You're trash for our trash. Let's do a fair swap. Or a late round pick. I want him to get a fresh start and an opportunity to have a clean slate. Right now, there's no clean slate here. And anytime Tua sees him on the field, Tua is going after him. That's just the reality of it.
No, but I would say there's no clean slate. Well, there's a new, I don't even know, pass game coordinator.
Secondary coach.
Ronaldo Hill, there's a new DC with Vic Fangio. So, yeah, maybe they give him a completely fresh start. Maybe the defense is emphasizing zone coverage a lot more than man, and he can't play man because he gets completely lost with the QB receiver spatial awareness. I think you and I both know that. I'm going to be polite. Is it worth giving him a look at safety? There's enough athletic ability there where the Dolphins should exhaust every option, every scenario of giving him a chance, and then. If you need to move on.
What's the point? You didn't pick up his fifth-year option. It's really wasted player development at this point. There's no point.
What's the cost in again, give him the OTAs, give him training camp to see if something can be salvaged. Chances are he's not making the roster, and then you let him.
He's a progress stopper at this point.
Sorry?
He's a progress stopper at this point. This is his final year. You didn't pick up his fifth-year option. Why would you invest playing time into a guy who this is his final year?
Whose reps is he going to be taking away, though? I mean, come on.
Cam Smith?
No, come on. Because Cam Smith, the two guys who are not going to get a whole lot of reps, who don't need the reps, are Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. I think there are enough reps to be split between.
All right, so you're just going to rag out Noah during training camp. That's what you're going to do. Okay.
I want to see, again, before I cut the cord and let him loose.
At the
See if
core.
it can be salvaged.
Let him go get
Interesting.
it.
I want to make this point too about the fifth-year option, and because this was misconstrued by some people on social media who got on my nerves. Listen, the Dolphins never announced it yesterday either. Nor I don't recall seeing any team announcing we're declining the fifth-year option, because then you're putting it out there that those guys don't deserve the fifth-year option. When Daniel asked Chris Greer, have you made a decision on the fifth-year option? Of course, they'd made a decision by then. But Chris Greer was not going to say, no, we're going to decline, because the follow-up question is going to be, well, why do you think it hasn't panned out? So, of course, Chris Greer is going to say, no, we're still going to be discussing it about it after we get done with this press conference. And then what they do is they let the deadline come and go. They don't pick up the fifth-year option. Guess what? That's your answer. They didn't pick up the fifth-year option without having to publicly say it. It's not that complicated for those of you out there who did not understand and grasp that concept.
So you think Austin Jackson wasn't waiting impatiently to figure out if he was going to make $14 million?
Oh, wait, they're saying there's a shot. They're saying there's a shot. That's fine. Of course, they could have gone with either player the route that the Green Bay Packers took with Jordan Love, which was, we're not going to exercise the fifth-year option, but guess what? We'll sign you to a one-year contract extension, and it's going to be somewhere between not getting anything at all and
half of it.
The guarantee, correct, and the guarantee, but at least you have some guarantee.
Let me ask you this question, since you're posing this idea. Would you have offered Austin Jackson a one-year extension at $7 million guaranteed?
Not at this time, because he hasn't done it. But I don't think it would have been crazy. Look, the fact that I actually took a second to think about it, I don't think it would have been a crazy notion, and I think it would have made sense. I see nothing wrong though if again, assuming he gets the first shot at right tackle, he looks, whoa, he actually, there's something there. You can always sign him to an extension during the 2023 season.
That's true.
But I don't think it would have been a crazy idea at all. No.
Where's your confidence level that Austin Jackson, who had his fifth-year option declined by the Dolphins, which rightfully so, understand there's financial ramifications to not picking up his fifth-year option. I mean, to having picked up his fifth-year option. If you had done that, you're already in trouble with $187 million committed to 8 players. Then you would have had $200 million committed to 9 players. That doesn't make any sense financially wise. But where's your confidence level that he can start 15 games for this team and play at a starting caliber level at right tackle?
No, and I like Austin Jackson. You're going to make me do this. Not very high. Not very high. I mean, we haven't seen anything. I'm of the opinion that I'm curious to see, but if I'm going to tell you right now, well, I'm very confident that he's going to get it done, that's your answer right there. I think I'd be lying if I said that.
What about if we moved him to left guard, a position that he's played previously?
Same.
I
mean, yeah, I haven't seen.
You just don't think he's a NFL starter
at this point? I haven't seen enough evidence of it, but I think I'm curious to see, because again, I think right tackle is a good spot for him in this particular scheme. Unfortunately, we never got to see it. And then I don't even remember what he looked like in the preseason. I'll be honest with you. I was like looking, the regular season starts and boom, he's gone. Gone 10 weeks, comes back against Houston, boom, he's gone. That's it. So
tough year for injuries. I mean, he's had a rough career to begin with. Yeah. Started out well his rookie season. Suffered a knee injury, came back, looked like poop. I'm sorry, no offense. And then next year, he was a disaster as a left tackle. Mm-hmm. I wrote a column, and I'm not crediting myself for it, but I wrote a column and I said, listen, if you want to save this guy's career, you got to move him to guard. The next day, he was moved to guard. Mm-hmm. And because he was gone as a tackle. And he had a mediocre year at guard. Then they moved him to right tackle. We've got the injuries that just continue to come. And I'm not saying that he's an injury-prone player, because I don't think he is. But let's say he stays healthy the whole season. What are we looking at talent-wise, protecting to his blind side? Is that the player that you have confidence is going to be able to keep Tua healthy for an entire season? And my answer to that question is no. Chris Greer's answer to that question has to be no. Otherwise, you're putting the entire season in harm's way. But that's where we are.
No, and here's the thing too, is Dolphins have very little cap space. They're going to get 13 million six back in June. And now right after the draft, we've seen the Buffalo Bills, who, by the way, spoiler alert, are still the team to beat in the AFC East. And I hear, it's funny to me that I hear some people like, well, they could be on the downside. Yeah, last I checked, they were 13-3 last year.
And had a ton of injuries.
And, oh, by the way, almost had a guy literally die on the field before he was brought back. I don't know. That could play with your psyche, maybe. I mean, I'm no psychology major, but yeah, that could have an impact. So the Bills clearly are the target. And then right after the draft, they signed Latavius Murray to address a need for a big back. And then they signed Poona Ford to address a need on their defensive line to provide competition for your very good friend, Jordan Phillips. So now it's like
my bestie.
Your bestie.
And then don't forget what the Jets did with Billy Turner, adding Billy Turner. Now, could the Dolphins be waiting till they have more money? Absolutely, because they've got about $2 million in cap space. A decent quality offensive lineman is maybe signing for $2 million. I'm curious to see what happens with the Jordan Fants, the Taylor Lewans, I also think Juwan James. I know he's had a rough stretch of you got to do those eyes on me. Juwan James has had a rough stretch on injuries, but if he's going to
Achilles 2 years in a row, I don't know. I haven't checked on his status recently, but I mean, damn. You want to talk here? Because here's the thing, and there are guys like that out there. Brandon Shell, and the word supposedly, there's some, again, to use a phrase that we've heard around here, some queasiness about his knees. Well, if there's queasiness about his knees, there's certainly queasiness about Juwan James,
Achilles,
status and durability.
And Brandon Shell hasn't found work yet, so I'm at the point where you're looking at a minimum salary guy. I'm adding Juwan James and Brandon Shell for minimum salary. And seeing where that takes me. Why not?
Oh no, I agree, because I think they do need to protect themselves. I mean, it's great that Chris Greer gave the vote of confidence to Austin Jackson in the pre-draft press conference, but they do need to protect themselves in the event that in training camp and in the preseason, the Dolphin coaches see that, it might not be the guy.
Yeah, I often, and I shared this on Twitter the other day, and I think we maybe discussed it in a podcast, that the moment where I lost confidence in Austin Jackson was when Tua Tagovailoa in his second season got in his face after a scrimmage and reamed him out. And that always forever stayed with me. The next week they took it to Chicago for a joint practice, and they just got the whole offensive line got their faces beaten in. And I was just like, oh no, this ain't gonna do. And I'd still stand by that. I don't think it's gonna do for this season. And
no. And if Tua's getting in your face, you've done something bad.
Exactly.
That's not his style.
Yeah,
it's just not his style.
Absolutely.
Pivot. One last thing on the draft before we move on. Because there's one criticism I've seen that's like, well, yeah, Dolphins had a major kids only had 4 picks, and that's bad. Well, the reason they only had 4 picks, aside from the NFL sanctions for tampering, is because they made trades that collectively brought in Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Ramsey, and Jeff Wilson Jr. So if you grade them and give them a bad grade because they only had 4 picks, then you need to include those players. If we're grading solely, and mind you, draft grades are, let's say, premature. I'm going to be polite. Let's come back in 2 or 3 years and then we can properly assess. But if you're going to downgrade this Dolphin draft for having not enough picks, which, mind you, this is the second year in a row they've only had 4 picks, but then you have to consider the guys that they brought in. Obviously, there are contract ramifications involved there as well, but that's part of the whole picture.
Considering I'm on the F them picks train, I'm absolutely fine with adding proven, established, accomplished NFL talent as opposed to rolling the dice on draft prospects. Who knows what Elijah Higgins is going to be? Who knows what Achane is going to be? I'm curious. I like the fact that they added another running back, added another gadget player, because that's really how I see him now until you prove to me that you can pass protect. What I like about it is that they're molds for these backs, and he's in the Raheem Mostert mold, whereas he's more of a pass catcher, also a guy you want to get in space, whereas Jeff Wilson is a kind of a different back. I still think that they need to. I looked at the undrafted free agents that they added, very underwhelming rookie free agents. I'm going to be honest with you. I generally don't pay attention to the undrafted rookie free agents. You know how I am, Poop. When they start making plays in practice and I have to learn their name, okay, we got something. Tanner Connor, had to learn his name and number because he showed enough. I'm being a little bit premature, but most of those guys didn't even have draft write-ups by most of the top draft evaluators. And I'm like, damn, no draft write-up? Wow.
But you know, based on history, that there's one or two of those guys who are going to pop during training camp. I lied. I have one more point I want to make about the draft. I'm such a liar. Here's the point: is unlike last year, where if we're going to go ahead and say, well, Channing Tindall and Eric Izukama couldn't contribute because they were overwhelmed by learning the NFL game and the schemes on defense, a cornerback and a specialty running back, for lack of a better term, those guys better damn well contribute right away. If we get nothing out of those two guys in 2023, I'm going to be a very unhappy camper.
Yeah, Cam Smith has to contribute on special teams. Let's
forget special teams. On defense. If he doesn't play a decent percentage of snaps on defense,
give me a number of defensive snaps. 300? Number of defensive snaps, 300?
That's a little 17, so a little less than 20 per game. That works. I'm fine with that.
Okay, all right. That's fair.
Get his ass on the field on defense. I'm sorry, that's not going to fly.
Is he going to be better than Cater Cole? Better than
you picked him in the second round? Yeah, he should be better than Cater Cole. Yes.
Cater.
In retrospect, Cater Cole should have been drafted. Yes. But if you're a second round pick, I don't know how many cornerbacks were taken before Cam Smith. I don't know if it's 6, 7, whatever the number is. I think the expectation, absolutely, without question, should be that guy needs to get to make a contribution on defense in 2023 as well as Achane. Okay, let's move on. Raheem Mostert, Zoom session yesterday, which was very interesting to me in the part where he basically acknowledged that Mike McDaniel told him in the exit interview, yeah, my bad, we should have run the ball more. We're going to run the ball a lot more in 2023. Are we expecting that? Are we expecting that we're buying it?
Yeah, because only one team ran the ball less than the Miami Dolphins last year. I think Mike McDaniel got a little bit obsessed with the passing game and became very pass happy, just a tad bit. And trying to prove to people, I think that's part of his arrogance, trying to prove to people that Tua is an elite quarterback. You know, trying to get Tyreek to 2,000, say whatever you want. You know, they did it. And I necessarily don't think it helped. Now, it didn't help that you had so many injuries on the offensive line. But when you look at the yards per carry average that Mostert and Jeff Wilson had, it clearly states you should be running the ball more. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But then also, when you needed to run the ball more, you had crap quarterbacks back there. Not two, of course. You know, don't ever make that mistake.
Of course.
But yeah, you had uncapable Skylar Thompson. He was it was okay, but it's he certainly wasn't Josh Purdy.
Right. Yeah, no, correct.
So get yourself a healthy offensive line. And I was shocked last year that Mike McDaniel did not. That's how his calling card for the NFL. He comes from the organization that has built sustainable, successful running games everywhere that he's been. That had been what his MO that had gotten him hired to become a head coach, and he strayed away from it. So I'm not surprised that he said it. Now, let's make sure that he commits to it.
Yeah, here's the other thing though. To me, yes, that was his calling card. He was a running game guru, but the rosters were built to do that. Certainly in San Francisco, when he got here and the Tyreek Hill opportunity popped up, all of a sudden Mike McDaniel's like, "Whoa!" The wheels are spinning over here. Like, yeah, running game, shrunning game. I got those two speed demons, speed freaks, whatever you want to call them on the outside. I mean, insane speed on the outside. It would be malpractice for me to focus on the running game. Let me find all the ways I can deploy, utilize, and maximize their speed. And here's the thing, it's going to be, and I understand McDaniel's a very smart guy. And when he's removed from the situation, he's smart enough to understand, yeah, in retrospect, I kind of abandoned the running game a little too quickly. In the heat of the moment, my concern is in 2023, again, it's going to be like, they can't cover him. Oh, I can do this. I can do this. Is he going to, it's easy to fall back into the same mode because let's not kid ourselves. The two biggest playmakers the Dolphins have on offense are one guy on the outside and the other guy on the outside.
Let me ask you this question. Have you given any thought to the fact that not having Teron Armstead at practice every single week for an entire year contributed to the fact that, hey, maybe he doesn't have the confidence to call run plays?
Yes, but then again, that's counterbalanced by the fact that their yards per carry average actually was pretty good. I mean, they were, to use an Omar Kelly phrase, they were ass on third and short yardage, but a lot of those is they were trying to pass. But their success rate, their hit rate on third and short, I think though, if I remember correctly, they ran the ball 6 times on 3rd and 2, failed to convert. I mean, not once. That's no bueno.
I gotta look at their 3rd and 2 stats, because the third and 2 stats, 3rd and 3 play, third and 3 in shorter plays to see what the body of work is. That'll be like a good offseason project for me. I also liked where Jerome Baker basically said, we're all trying to figure out what Vic Fangio is all about with very little exposure to him and not being able to see what his defense is. I have vowed to go and watch his Chicago Bears defense the last time he was a defensive play caller, because he wasn't the play caller in Denver. He was the head coach.
Defense, though.
Huh?
It was his defense.
It was his defense, but he wasn't the play caller. I want to see what you do when you're calling the plays. What I found very interesting was that Jerome Baker basically said, "Hey, man, they just want us to be put in a position, your assignment, how your alignment, you figure it out how you want to align, and just go out there and make plays." And that kind of correlates to what Bradley Chubb was saying, and they put a lot of trust into their players. This is your assignment, this is your responsibility. How you want to get to it is how you will get to it, but that's what your job is. That's your gap, that's your space, that's your man. Figure it out. And so Jerome feels like he's going to be able to play a lot freer. And if you know where he's coming from, which was basically a Brian Flores defense, a majority of his career, there was 1 year under Matt Burke. They're very anal about a lot of things.
I was going to say structured, but anal's perfect.
So, and that work, Jerome's one of those guys that make it work no matter what. So I have, going throughout the course of his career, while he's not a diagnostic master and he's not going to shed a block of a guard or a center, let's not poo-poo the productivity that he's had throughout his career. Honestly, he might be the best linebacker the Dolphins have had since Carlos Dansby. And, it's
a low bar. I mean, if we're going to be honest.
Huh?
It's a low bar, if we're going to be honest.
I mean, but that's something that needs to be put some respect on.
Here's the thing though. I'm of the belief, and there's two guys, and then when we talk, everybody's going like defense is going to be awesome. Now because Vic Fangio's a name, and because there are a lot of big names on this defense: Bradley Chubb, Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey, Jalen Phillips.
Don't forget Emmanuel Ogbah. I hate when people
Well,
forget
I'm gonna get to Emmanuel Ogbah. Here's my thing. I'm of the very humble opinion that Flo did a masterful job in maximizing the skill set of two players in particular, who I'm going to be very curious to see how they respond to Fangio. And those two players are Emmanuel Ogbah and Jerome Baker. And on top of that, they are two players whose contract kind of makes them vulnerable as far as cap casualties next offseason. So they have the incentives to ball out, number one. And then I'm curious to see what kind of fit and what Fangio can do for both of those guys.
No question. I think Emmanuel Ogbah fits this scheme a lot better than he's fit any other scheme probably throughout his career. I do agree with you that Flores and his defense basically made him highlighted his skill set. But last year, let's not pretend it was an injury marred season.
Sure.
So,
but he wasn't very productive before he got hurt, though. Let's be honest.
Maybe he was battling something.
Maybe.
And yeah, Jerome, you're right. $15 million for Ogbah, $11 million for Jerome. They've got to earn it, and they've got to, or they'll be back at the table for half the money. So there's a lot of motivation on the line for them. So I'm expecting both to have big seasons. I think Emmanuel Ogbah, I think he is the sleeper cell of this defense, because based on what I'm told, what the defensive front does for Fangio, he's got the skill sets for.
Yeah, and based on my knowledge of his defense, it's a defense scheme that requires more penetration, more pass rush from your interior defensive linemen, which is maybe not necessarily the strengths of guys like Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, and Raekwon Davis, all of whom, by the way, are up with their contract in 2020.
Everybody on the D-line is up.
Mm-hmm.
So
will be interesting to see. On that note, we're going to wrap this up. He is Omar. I am Poupart. This has been episode 10. Until we meet again,